Okay, what's up YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have another rare antique warship that is still in service to this very day. Now, when we talk about antique warships still being in service, you normally think of World War II era warships. But strangely enough, there are many ships that predate even World War I that are still in service. And one of those ships comes all the way from Paraguay, and she is known as the ARP Captain Cabral from 1907. The Captain Cabral is a Paraguayan river gunboat that was built between 1906 and 1907. She was built in the Netherlands along with another boat known as the ARP Tucare. Both ships were ordered by the Paraguayan government to be used as river gunboats in the Paraguayan Navy. The ARP Captain Cabral has a displacement of 206 tons. Her main armament originally was two 37mm Vickers semi-automatic guns. These were the Vickers semi-automatic versions of the British 1-pounder Maxim autocannon that was made in the 1880s and 90s, except this one was made in the early 1900s. She was also originally armed with 2 to 3 7.65mm machine guns. Now later on, she was upgraded decades later, to have one 40mm Bofors L60 autocannon, and her two 7.65mm machine guns were replaced with two 20mm Oerlikon autocannons. Her speed is only a slow 9 knots or 16.6 kilometers per hour. Originally, she was fitted with a triple expansion steam engine, but decades later, the triple expansion steam engine was replaced with two diesel engines. Her range is about 200 to 500 nautical miles, and she has a crew of 25. Like I said earlier, the Captain Cabral was one of two ships ordered by the Paraguayan Navy from the Netherlands, with the other one being the ARP Tucare. Both ships served in the Paraguayan Navy for a long time. In fact, they are some of the longest serving warships in history, having served over 100 years, both ships combined. But sadly, the Tucare was decommissioned in the early 2000s and is currently sitting abandoned at a scrapyard. But the ARP Captain Cabral still survives. Now, originally her name was the ARP Triuno, or Trauno. She kept that name for the first 2 decades of her service until the Gran Chaco War in the 1930s. The Gran Chaco War, also known as the Chaco-Baril conflict, was a major border war between Paraguay and Bolivia over who would control the Gran Chaco region. And during the war, the ARP Captain Cabral served in the Paraguayan Navy along with the flagships of the Humaita class gunboats. The Humaita class were large gunboats that were ordered from Italy in the 1920s and 30s and were the flagships of the Paraguayan Navy. During the war, she did clash with the Bolivian Navy, which consists of mostly river gunboats also, throughout the conflict, which lasted from 1932 until 1935. ARP Captain Cabral did survive the conflict largely unscathed, only coming under air attacks constantly off and on during the conflict. After the Bolivian-Paraguayan War, during the Second World War, her name was changed to the ARP PO4, but that name was later given to another gunboat that was ordered from Argentina, and she received the name of the ARP AO1, which she kept for many decades afterwards. During the Cold War, Bolivia had a lot of political turmoil. There was a lot of government coups and even almost a civil war. In the 1970s, the Captain Cabral was already like 80 years old by this point, and so the ship received its first modernization. This modernization lasted from late 1978 until 1980, and during that modernization, the Captain Cabral received its modern armament. Its two 37mm Vickers autocannons, or semi-automatic cannons, were replaced with one Bofors 40mm autocannons, and her two 7.65mm machine guns were replaced with two 20mm Oerlikons, and her old triple expansion steam engine was upgraded with two diesel engines, and her speed increased by only 1 knot. She was only 8 knots when she was completed, but 9 knots overall. She still has a crew of 25. During her refit, she was reintroduced into the Paraguayan Navy, and her name was changed to Captain Cabral, which is the name that she sticks with now, that she has kept since the 1980s. The Captain Cabral still patrols the rivers of Paraguay and is one of the oldest warships still in service. She is not the oldest South American warship still in service, as there are several ships that are way older than her. In fact, there's a ship that is still in service, that has been in service since the 1860s, that's still in service with the Navy of Peru, and I guess I can do a video on that one later on. But that is pretty much it with the ARP Captain Cabral, the oldest warship still in service with the Paraguayan Navy, and one of the top 10 oldest warships still in service, and she is also one of the few vessels that predate World War I that is still in ready use, protecting the borders of Paraguay. So what do you think of the ARP Captain Cabral? Put your opinions in the comment section below, and until next time, this was J-Man Time signing off.